Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to my very first response video. One of our absolute favorite channels of all time has always been Rob's Tabletop World, and if you haven't gone over there and subscribed, I highly recommend it. He is probably the single most influential YouTuber out there that got my son and I into making our own channel. His channel is absolutely wonderful. We can't say enough nice things about him, and he's been really good to us in the past. But this morning, he put up a video on why Kickstarters and eBay are potentially dangerous to the board game, especially the board game hobby, and those fans of it, and how Kickstarter and eBay are potentially, like I said, damaging to our hobby. And while I agree with a whole bunch of his points, there's some things he missed that I want to go over because I have been a huge proponent of Kickstarter and eBay. eBay more so since I have, full disclosure, my own eBay store, and I've been selling on eBay for well over 20 years, and I've made a good amount of money on eBay, I'm not going to lie, and I continue to do so. Not this holiday season. It's been really bad because of inflation and all the things that go in with that, and I'm not going to go into that here. It's not the time. It's not the place. You guys go out in the world and you see what's going on, and you can't help but notice things are not the way they used to be. So I'm going to go over the pros and cons of both Kickstarter and eBay from my perspective because, like I said, I've been doing both for a good long time, and there are some bad things about them, and most of my topics don't really overlap with Rob's. And Rob, if you're out there, I hope you'll watch this video and give me your feedback. Let me know what you think. Like I said, we're not going to agree on everything, but there are some things that from my personal experience, and I also have some tips, but I'm going to save that for another video because I don't really want to leave my secrets out there to just anybody. Because some of my success on both Kickstarter and eBay have been because of the things I've learned over the past 20 plus years of doing eBay. So let's get into it. Let's start with Kickstarters. Okay, I'm going to go over the pros, then the cons. And the pros. With Kickstarter, you are getting whatever you're getting, it's going to be drastically cheaper than it will be when it comes out on the market later on, if it even does come out on the regular retail market, because sometimes these things are completely exclusive and you cannot get them any other way. And I'm also going to go over some of the good Kickstarters that I've backed and some of the bad ones. But first, the price. You're getting everything at a discount because you are funding them. You are buying in early and helping them get their project out there, and hopefully you're taking a risk, but you will get what you get for a lot cheaper. That's just right off the bat. That is number one. What especially now we are looking for is a bargain. Okay. Number two is the exclusivity. Many of the items that come out on Kickstarter you can't get any other way. You just can't. Sometimes that's the way they do it, and if you don't go and do the Kickstarter, you won't be able to get the stuff unless you get it on the aftermarket like eBay. For me, I have noticed that many of the Kickstarters I've backed have actually been early. That means their projected date is X, but lo and behold, it comes out early. Number four is you tend to get a lot for your money. Including the discount, you're going to get a lot of extras, whether they be stretch goals or this is the deal. Boom, here's a big chunk, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. We just got our Zombicide Undead or Alive Kickstarter, and it was like 15 boxes of stuff, and I've only been able to get to one box, and I'm barely through the rule book, and I'm looking at almost a dozen more boxes of stuff that I'm going to have to, find a way to store and, get to painting them and all that good stuff. Sometimes it's almost too much, okay? Especially with some of the other Kickstarters I've backed, I still have boxes from years ago that I have not been able to open, or I opened them, I looked at it and shelved it, and God only knows when I'll get to that. So that could be looked at as a pro and a con if you like. Number 5 is some of the items like I said, you'll never hear about any other way than Kickstarter. Kickstarter sends out regular emails and advertisements of new Kickstarters for things that, for example, Starschlock, I would have never heard about it if had it not been for Kickstarter. And I love it. I love the miniatures. I'm still working on getting to play the game. But that's another issue. I absolutely love that Kickstarter, but I would have never heard about it. Midland Miniatures, Sisters of the Kraken Cult, same thing. I would have never heard about it otherwise. We love those miniatures. There's a new Kickstarter out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it because it turns out I actually missed 4 of the other Kickstarters that went along with that. You know, they're small Kickstarters. They're like 10 miniatures. And I missed them. So I want to catch up before I get the new one. But we'll see how that goes. So those are the immediate pros. There may be some things I'm missing. Now, the cons. Number 1 is lateness. I'm still waiting on Flying Frog's Shadows of Brimstone Kickstarter, going on 2, 3, some people even I think 4 years waiting for that Kickstarter. And using COVID as an excuse is utter absolute bullshit garbage. I'm so up to here with Flying Frog. Their inability to use the comments in the update section like any other normal Kickstarter, and yet they're pumping out new stuff that's not part of the Kickstarter, and you can get it through their store, but the Kickstarter's still sitting in China waiting for, whatever. I'm tired of their excuses. Archon Studios, their whole project is located in Poland, and they've been early on 3 out of 4, if not more, of the Kickstarters. I'm actually blown away. I got an email yesterday, the day before, telling me the new Kickstarter for Dungeons and Lasers is going to be out in January or February, and I'm like, I got no room. I wasn't expecting that for another 4 or 5 months, and here it is. I'm going to be getting it early, whereas things like Shadows of Brimstone, Call of Cthulhu, Cataclysm, still waiting on years for that. The lateness is a huge issue, and if you are not patient, because patience is the name of the game, whether it be Kickstarter or eBay, if you are a patient guy, which I am, then this is the game for you. But if you are not patient and you can't handle the wait and the worries and all that stuff, then this is not the game for you. And while Kickstarter, if things go sideways with a Kickstarter, you'll get your money back as far as I know, but sometimes not so much with eBay. eBay has a much better policy for not receiving things. As a matter of fact, they favor the buyers over the sellers, which I'll get to in just a moment. Sometimes you get a bad game with a Kickstarter, okay? I'm not going to lie. There are some stinkers out there. And if you know the company, you know the game, you know the product from previous releases, cool. But sometimes you will get a stinker, okay? So do your homework. Look into it. Look at reviews everywhere you can go. Look at everything, okay? One of the other cons, number 3, is experimental nature of the entire Kickstarter deal, okay? You could be looking at a game that's not very well play tested, that is, just merely a concept. Some Kickstarters are really waiting for the money before they even get off their ass and do anything about what they're proposing. I've heard some horror stories. Do your homework. Look into whatever company it is. If it's the bigger the company, the more likely you are to get what you pay for. And like I said, get it early, or, things like that. Come on. Simon Miniatures with Undead or Alive. Absolutely. I highly recommend those guys. Archon Studios, top of the list. Early, beautiful product. Absolute wonderful people to deal with. But do your research when it comes to it, because some of these people, they're just starting out. This is their first foray into the gaming, community, the business as it is. So do your homework, because some of these people, this is their first go around, and buyer beware. like I said earlier, one of the cons of Kickstarters is too much. I literally have a garage full of boxes that I was, when I see it, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that. Okay. Sometimes I've even bought two pledges because I want so much of the stuff because of this extra or that extra, or I know later on down the road I'll get to it. God help me if I don't, because then my family will be stuck with hundreds of boxes they don't know what to do with. And there is such a thing as too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. But if you're not like that, if you're a holder like myself, I mean hoarder, then deal with it. You're going to get a lot of stuff, and think about it before you get into it, because it might be too much. It might be way too much for you to store. You may have to, get a storage unit or a giant piece of property like our good friend Rob, who I can only imagine has probably got the greatest collection out there. Finally, the waiting. Like I said before, this is a game about patience. If you're not a patient man or woman, this isn't for you. I'm still waiting on Kickstarters, but sometimes you get lucky and you're not waiting so long. But the waiting is hard on a lot of people. Being able to just sit there and just forget about it. Just after you've paid it, if you could afford it and you've paid for it, just let it go. I know that's hard for people. For me, I'm so busy doing so many things. Sorry about the dog. He's barking at a leaf or a car driving by our property, and that's just not allowed. Let me close that because he's a big dumb. I love him, but he's a big dumb. So if you guys aren't, here he comes. If you're not okay with waiting, don't wait. Just let it go. Forget about it. Move on to something else, because there's an endless supply of games out there, whether they be role-playing games, board games, war games, card games, etc. Just know yourself, and you will do just fine. Okay? Me, all in all, though, I love Kickstarters. I'm glad they're out there. I'll continue backing Archon Studios, Come On Miniatures, CMON, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Whatever. CMON. Sounds like whatever. Okay. Other people I would avoid, obviously, Flying Frog Productions, because everything they put out, just about everything, even when they say it's an exclusive, it's not. It will eventually show up in the stores. If you don't believe me, go check out the stores and cross-reference it with their previous Kickstarters. Now, mind you, I absolutely love Shadows of Brimstone. It's, yeah, you can see we love Shadows of Brimstone. However, knowing what I know now, I probably won't back the next Kickstarter, because waiting for them to get the project out and onto the shelves is a multi-year endeavor, where they're sitting on millions of dollars and going to the cheapest place on the planet, the slowest place on the planet, the place that hates us the most. They're going there for the product, and I know damn well, one, we could do it in the United States, and if not, there are lots of other countries more than happy to pump these products out on a timely manner. Just go look at Archon Studios, the kings of Kickstarters, in my opinion. Now let's go on to eBay, because I've already taken up quite a bit of your time. As you know before, I love eBay. There are so many things about eBay that I love, starting with cheapness. If you know when to shop, you will find bargains beyond your wildest dreams. There are just people out there, sorry, but they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they have. They don't want to do the research, and they will just put it out there, especially on an auction, dumbest thing ever. Do the homework, find out what you got, get a fair price, you're good to go. But no, starting it out at like $1 or something stupid like that, thinking that you're saving money on the fees, only to sell it for 10% of what it's actually worth because you sold it at the wrong time of year. So take advantage of that, knowing when to buy on eBay, and you will find prices cheaper. A lot of times they're also cheaper because people are competitive out there, and they will do their homework, and they'll go, oh, well, I'm going to sell a little bit less than everybody else that's selling it right now. That way when someone comes up, they're going to go, well, this is the cheapest one. I'll grab it here. Okay, price, great. I found so many things over the years that just, the prices are just literally highway robbery. Number two, rarity. There's not a better place to go when looking for rare items all year round that you won't find anywhere else. Let's face it, there really is no other place. You can say Noble Knight Games. Well, they're the most expensive place on the planet to buy anything, and I'll never shop there again. I've shopped there before, but it's got to be something super rare that I just, got a bug up my ass that I cannot live without that item before I'll go there, because I know they literally charge double, triple what it's actually worth on the market, just thinking that, hey, we're one of the biggest stores, someone will buy it. So I don't recommend them. But rare items are out there. You just have to be patient. Do your searches, save your searches, check your emails every day if it's an item you're really hot to get, and eventually it'll come around. There's very few one-of-a-kind items out there, despite what we've been taught to believe. People are selling this stuff all the time. Eventually it will come up. It may take years. It may take a decade, but eventually it will come, okay? The other thing is finding hard to find things. If you want, you can go look on Amazon, and there again you will pay, an arm and a leg and a kidney, and I really don't know where to sell one, because I need to sell like one of my kidneys and one of my boys' kidneys to pay for some things that are coming up. I'm just kidding, of course, guys. And no, I have not had any coffee. I'm just really excited about this particular topic because I know a lot about it, and I want to share this information with you. But like I said, hard to find items, eBay. There's no other place other than, bookstores and game stores and flea markets and swap meets, which we don't have a good game store in where I live. There are no used bookstores. There's a Barnes & Nobles, that's it. And yes, there's a Games Workshop like 2 blocks away, but not a big fan of Games Workshop over the years. So if it's hard to find and you can't find it anywhere else, do a search for it on eBay, save the search, monitor your emails, and eventually you'll find it. Maybe not. I mean, I can't guarantee that you will or won't find it, but it is the best resource. And finally, after a Kickstarter has come and gone and you've missed out, you've missed the boat, you couldn't afford it, or you just said, I'll wait. When the Kickstarters come out, there's all those super backers that will dump them on eBay. And again, wait, be patient. Eventually, those Kickstarter, buyers, those super backers, will put it out there and, ask an arm and a leg more than the original price. That's how they make their money. But eventually, those prices will drop as it sits on somebody's, shelf somewhere. And if you're smart, you can get it later on down the road. Because let's face it, you're probably not going to jump right into it anyways, unless it's something you're dying to get. Then if so, you should have got it on the Kickstarter. But you can still find old Kickstarter items still in the case, brand new, never been touched by buyers who bought too many and they just didn't get rid of them yet, obviously because of the economy or just happenstance. Things like that happen, okay? But you can find Kickstarters on eBay, and I've done it. I bought the Forbidden Fortress Kickstarter. I actually got it on eBay, and I got it for a good price, and I was happy to do so because I had missed that boat, and you guys could do the same. Now, the cons with eBay. Okay, here it comes. The ripoffs. There are endless, never-ending supply of scam artists out there that are ripping people off left and right, especially from overseas in that place that I just mentioned earlier, where you will buy something and it will never come, or it will be just flat-out garbage. But fortunately, eBay prefers the customers over the sellers, which is just asinine. But that's the way they do it because they're constantly looking for more customers. And customers are where they get the most complaints, so they've got to cater to them. So buyer beware. If you think something's too good, it probably is. But on the other hand, if it's local or only a couple 100 miles away, 1,000 miles away, still in your country, chances are you're going to do all right. The other con with eBay, poor shipping. I could go on about this for the rest of the day. People who sell things often do not know what they're doing when it comes to wrapping up and protecting your recent purchases. I cannot tell you how many times things have arrived broken, bent, damaged, because the seller wouldn't invest or recycle simple things like bubble wrap and styrofoam packing peanuts. I have yet to buy any of those materials in years, maybe once, because I actually ran out because I had a huge shipping thing. I think I bought some bubble wrap. But other than that, you can recycle your bubble wrap and your packing peanuts and learn to pack the item as if you were moving from one state all the way across the country, far away, and you wanted your items protected. It's not hard. I've mastered it. I've become, really good at protecting the items that I sell. To date, I have yet to have anything arrive damaged or broken. I've had people lie and say they didn't receive it, but that's for another time. So just when you buy your item, send a note to them. Hey, I really want this particular thing really packed well. Can you, get some bubble wrap? Hell, even plastic bags from the grocery store, when you pack them with extra air, trapped inside, will work as bubble wrap, or some of those bigger bubble wrapping things that look like giant, air balloon type things. You can make those yourself. You can use paper towels. I've seen people use foam, foam padding from various products and just chop it up and use that. But that is another con you're going to have to look out for. But if you email the seller and say, hey, can you take a little care in wrapping up my product, because I'm paying good money, etc. The least you could do is not just throw it in a box and wish it the best of luck. Con number 3 is overpriced. People out there often don't know what they have and think because it's old, it's worth 10 times what its original value was, especially with used paperback books. I'm going to make a video just on books because they're getting harder and harder to find, mostly because the powers that be don't want us to actually own books. The proliferation of PDFs and things like that on the market should be a clear indicator that they don't want us to own books. They know they can just type this thing up, put it on the computer, and boom, it's as good as a book. My ass, it is. It's not. It's a poor, cheap copy that at any moment can be deleted from remote control type of thing, and suddenly your PDF doesn't exist, and you never knew they could do it, but sure enough, they can. Don't think that they can't, because why wouldn't they? They can't. You can't even track it back to them, proving that you lost the PDF. And there's also a million other issues that could happen where your PDFs get lost or you accidentally delete them, stuff like that. But be careful. Do your research when you're buying. See if you can find it cheaper somewhere else. And if your set price point is X and you see it a little higher, maybe you might want to wait, or maybe you want to just ask them, hey, use the make an offer. Hey, I'll give you this much for it because this is all I got. That's usually what I say, is this is all I have, and it's less than you're asking for, including shipping. Will you lower the price, and we can work a deal? Because 9 times out of 10, they're willing to drop the price. Maybe not go all the way to your price, but that's what haggling's all about, and that's become a lost art form. And in the old days, everything could be haggled for. Nowadays, nope, can't do it. I'm not the manager. I can't lower the price, blah, whatever. You know what? Learn to haggle. Try it out. See if it works for you. And, stick with your price point. You know your own budget's better than I do. If you have a budget, you have a set price, just wait. Eventually it'll come down. Everything out there comes down in price except the truly, truly valuable collectibles or items that have stood the test of time. This new stuff, especially game books, there's no game book out there that I know I can't get for half cover price if I just wait a couple of years, especially new D&D type books and new clones of D&D books and copies. Hell, even Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, it came out at $60. I can pick up the Player's Handbook or the DMG for like $15 now. Then it's only been a few years since it came out. An original Player's Handbook, AD&D, the good ones, good luck finding them for less than $75 now, okay? There's a reason why it's going up and the new stuff is going down. We can go into that later, Come at me, bro, because I know what I'm talking about. Old stuff that's valuable is going to go up. New stuff that's overproduced is going to go down. Bide your time, get it, and you're probably going to regret it because it's garbage anyways. There's so many things out there that are just pumped out in the millions, hundreds of millions, and they're not worth the paper they're printed on. So do your homework, do your research, and make sure you really want something before you spend that money. The last one, last con for eBay is missing items. Sometimes the package won't show up at all. Sometimes you'll get a game, like a used game, and it's going to be missing pieces. The seller says, oh, it's 100% complete. I went through the box and everything's there, and they're full of crap. I've had that happen to me a couple of times, and I've had to go out and buy another copy just to make one copy out of two copies to at least have one complete, and then I got a bunch of extras, which isn't always a bad thing, but I know that's not what you went into it thinking, hey, I just want this game and I want it 100%. You said it was 100%. It's not. Now, what? I'm going to have to ship it back to you to get a refund? Most people won't do that. I suggest you do it because eventually they're going to get stuck with something that they can't sell because you already have filed a complaint that this item is incomplete. They'll try and resell it and say, oh, I found the piece. Bullshit. Don't. Make sure, if you can, it's sealed so that there can be no missing items. Otherwise, make sure they tell you in writing that it is, in fact, 100% complete. And then there's the, like I said before, the possibility that items will show up and the postman just doesn't get it right, gets it to somebody else's box, or a porch pirate will snag it, or it just won't even make it to your neck of the woods, and whoop, don't know what happened, and then you got to go through the whole refund process. But if you're doing it on eBay, you're pretty safe that if you could prove the tracking number said it never got to your doorstep, you'll get your money back and, put that seller on the list of people you're not going to do business with. Because it happens. I've had things not show up. I've also had things I've shipped that buyers said, oh, I never got it. Tracking number says it did. So always get that tracking number if you're shipping anything. I don't care what it is. You could always get a tracking number for something you ship, even if it isn't like priority or something like that. You can still pay the extra, and trust me, that extra protection with a tracking number is worth its weight in gold, especially over time if you do a lot of business like I do. So there you have it, my pros and cons, why I like Kickstarter and eBay, why I don't. And hopefully you guys will learn something from this and take all this to heart and make all your shopping experiences better. But remember, the key word to all of this is patience, patience, patience. If you are not a patient person, this is not the way to shop for you. But for me, I've learned patience over the years, and it's served me well. And without it, your whole online shopping experiences are going to be fraught with stress and worry, and nobody needs that these days. Take a deep breath, let it go. It'll either get there or it won't. If it doesn't, there's ways of dealing with it. If it does and it's not what you ordered, there's ways of dealing with it. Just be patient, and it'll come. I'm actually benefiting from being patient because I thought some of my Kickstarters were going to be way down the road, and lo and behold, they're going to be here before I'm ready. So instead of worrying about that, pick up your craft knife, pick up a paintbrush, or pick up your dice bag and get to gaming, because that's what it's all about. The buying and the selling and all that, that's just how to get the stuff to your table. Go out there. The weekend's here. A lot of you, like myself and my son, are going to be enjoying a good long holiday vacation. Find your kids, find your nephews, find your nieces, get them to the table, invite your friends over, have a game, have a whole bunch of games. That's what we're here for, is to play the games. Okay? All the other stuff is just distractions and things to get in the way. And I'll bet you probably already have like 10, 15, 50, 100 games in your closets, in your garages that you're just not getting to. And instead of, shopping for something, I always recommend play something you already have before you get something new, because that desire for the new shiny thingamabob is just an illusion. Everything in your collection was once one of those shiny new things, and you just put it on the shelf like you didn't even care about it. You got it, you're happy, cool, now I'm going to go buy the new thing. Go check out one of the old things, because I guarantee you've got stuff in your collection I would kill for. Not literally, but, maybe. Am I kidding? My collection is full of stuff that I can't wait to get to, and I know I never will. So before you add one of those things to that collection, go play a game. I don't care what game it is. I don't care what you know, who makes it and what their policies are. It's in your collection. You bought it for a good reason. Go make that reason valid. Go play those games and enjoy the hell out of yourselves. Okay? And until next time, we love you. Thank you, Rob, for inspiring me to put out this video. And thank you, Rob, for all the wonderful videos you've made over the years. You inspired us more than just about anybody else we can think of. And my son and I always look forward to your videos. We may not get to watch them all, but every once in a while you put out something that we cannot resist watching. And this was one of them. So everybody out there, go over to Rob's Tabletop World, subscribe to him, tell him we said hi, and flood his channel with all kinds of, you know, comments and stuff. Just make sure you tell him Shadow and Sun sent you. And we will see you guys real soon. Happy trails.